Hey guys, this is Red Face Menace from the future, come to add a little message here. As you can probably tell by the thumbnail, this video actually contains two matches, although it really feels more like one match, and you'll see the reasoning for that in a bit. But I did, in fact, record a second match and put it at the end of this video for good reason. So if you're interested to figure out why that happens, then go ahead and stick around for the whole video. Stay until the end. Both matches are quite interesting, and that's all I have to say. Merry Christmas, and the normal video will start in 3, 2, 1. We are here for the fifth and final match with Monkey Amulet. We got guides and Karns, and we are ready to go. Guns blazing here, and let's see if we can get this last round, get this W, and try to get at least half of our league value back. That would be nice, but at the very least, I feel like we have already learned a few things. And I will say that if we had won the match against the Mono Blue Delver opponent that we played against earlier, if I had thought to play around Cryptic Command in that last turn of Game 2, then I think that we would be 2-2 right now and be fighting potentially to go infinite, or already at least have half of our league value guaranteed. So I definitely think that there's a room for improvement on my gameplay with this particular deck list, if not in general. But anyways, I will not talk anymore. Let's jump straight into match 5 here. I don't believe in the entirety of this league so far I have even used a Simian Spirit Guide to cast a Primeval Titan. I just don't think that it's happened, which is crazy to me. I feel like that's the whole point of having Simian Spirit Guide, is being able to cast a Karn or Titan off of it, and we just haven't done it yet. Maybe I'm doing something wrong, as we get to be on the play here, playing against Dark Zero. We have a Spirit Guide, we have a Amulet, we have a Tolari West to transmute, we have a Garenbrig. I mean, I'm a sucker for this hand. We can Spirit Guide out the Amulet, so we can immediately transmute Tolari West on turn 2 by picking it up with the Growth Chamber. Maybe that's a bit hasty, though. That doesn't seem like a bad play, though. It would require us to use our Simic Growth Chamber as a land drop, though, and not pick up the bounce land, which is kind of scary. So I'm gonna lean against that and just play out Amulet off of this forest here. Maybe save the Simian Spirit Guide for something else. Of course, the line that I'm talking about is Simian Spirit Guiding out this Amulet, and then playing Tolari West for turn, and then next turn playing Simic Growth Chamber, floating the mana from both of these two lands, picking up the Tolari West, and immediately transmuting for Summoner's Pact. I don't know. I just don't think it's the move, because it doesn't even let us cast a 3-drop on turn 2 or a Titan on turn 3, so it's not really speeding us up a whole lot. I don't know, though, because the route that I'm about to go down by playing out the Amulet off the forest here is not going to let us transmute Tolari West until turn 3 at the earliest. And I suppose if we drew like a Dryad, then we would have a turn 4 Titan by transmuting Tolari West on turn 2 here. We'd be able to play, do the transmuting thing on turn 2. On turn 3, play a 3-drop like an Azusa or a Dryad, pour out our land drops, and have turn 4 Titan with Valakut out. Whereas if we transmute Tolari West on turn 2, I guess we would still have access to bounce land. So I guess it's really not that terribly different. Alright, I'm going to hold on to the Simian Spirit Guide here. Our opponent has Luris in their username over here as their profile picture, but they did not reveal Luris. Very inconsistent, if you ask me. Thoughtseize. Taking our Simian Spirit Guide? Rude. Rude. Not cool. Explore. Now that one, wow, that one's fantastic. I love that one. It also means that we'll be able to cast Titan this upcoming turn if we draw it, which is frankly amazing. Definitely not expected. Definitely not deserved. Let's see if we can top deck that Titan now, though. That is the real testament to whether or not I'm a true Amulet player, is if I can top deck the Titan. And of course I can't, so let's just transmute our Tolari West here, I dare say. Our opponent could have another discard spell, which would be pretty tragic, but not much that we can do about it, so we'll transmute here. Get the Summoner's Pact, of course. And I think it's okay to go ahead and Grazer out a land here. The Grazer is going to let us play around Liliana of the Veil if our opponent has it. We have a Radiant Fountain to discard if our opponent makes us discard with a Kolaghan's command or something like that. Guarantees that we have Titan mana this upcoming turn. Alright, opponent, do us a solid and do not play Thoughtseize. Even an Inquisition of Kozilek would be alright, because we could at least summon his pack for the Titan and have it in our hand ready to go. Abrupt Decay our Amulet. That's fine. That's fine. Just go ahead and do that. That's what you want to do, opponent. We do see red mana here. Is this Kolaghan's command to... No! Not Blood Moon! Oh my goodness, I think we lose now. What kind of Jund deck plays Blood Moon? What is going on? We're getting super punked. Karn. Ugh, that's not a Karn. Alright, yeah, let's pass it back. I guess, actually, we can summon his pack for a Dryad, but if the Dryad dies, then we lose to the pack trigger, so I guess not. It's not like that even lets us cast a Titan this upcoming turn, since we'd be tapped out from the Summoner's Pact, so... Can't believe our opponent just Blood Mooned us. Magmatic Channeler. This is a 2-mana 1/3. As long as there are 4 more instants and or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it gets +3/+1, and they can tap it and discard a card to exile the top 2 cards of their library, then choose a 1 to play this turn. That's a card. Don't know how to feel about that one. Simian Spirit Guide, huh? Well, get into play, bud. And I guess we're passing it back. It might have even been wrong to play this Simian Spirit Guide, but it's not like it can attack into this Channeler here. Yeah, we probably should have kept that one as discards fodder, but, you know, it doesn't really matter. We're losing to this Blood Moon, and there's not much that we can do about it, so... Our opponent has exiled 2 lands. Well, they choose to keep the Foothills as something they can use this turn, and they do. We got extremely got by this Blood Moon. Thoughtseize doesn't really matter that much, in all honesty. I guess it stops us from top decking a basic forest and just slamming Titan, although we can still do that by packing for Titan, so... Forest? Nope. We're going to hold on to that one as discard fodder. Swing for our 2 damage here. Putting in the good work. Is our opponent just passing it back? I don't think they intended to move out of their first main phase, but... Activating Channeler again. Discard... Oh, exiling Kroxa and Inquisition. Discarding a land here, it looks like. Discarding a swamp. That's a basic land, opponent. What are you doing? Kroxa. Okay, this one requires them to have the second swamp in play in order to do the things, you know, like getting back Kroxa. So, glad that our opponent discarded swamp here. We'll pitch the Cavernous Souls, of course, which is why we held on to it. They do have another swamp. Okay, well, we're in a lot of trouble. Karn, the Great Creator, off the top would allow us to answer this Kroxa with our Tormod's Crypt. So Karn is the draw. For the 3rd time in a row, the Dreadbore, our Simian Spirit Guide. Whew, Karn, to punish it. Karn. Come on, Karn, the Great Creator. Off the top 1 time. Another Summoner's Pact. Boo. Alright, we'll pass it back. Now we probably lose. My opponent just conceded the game. Why? Okay, well, I'll take it, I guess. Force and Rex Sage against the Blood Moons, of course. Dismember for Channeler seems good. Explosives, unlikely to answer a Blood Moon, but we could play it preemptively. I don't know. Not really a big fan of explosives here. Wormcoil and Ballista we can cast through a Blood Moon. That said, we can also minus Karn for them, so I don't know. Yeah, I'm not inclined to board anything else in. We probably don't need Grazers here. And yeah, that's it. Actually, in all seriousness, do we want to sideboard out these Spirit Guides? They're kind of similar to Grazer. Oh, our opponent has disconnected. What is going on today? With everyone disconnecting and whatnot? Does our opponent just have to leave? Are they having some kind of emergency? Alright, well, I'm just going to continue to sideboard like normal. I don't think that we want the spirit guides. I think that we'd rather have a few grazers, although not all of them, for sure. We'll just bring in an explosives, maybe. And we'll have one Simian spirit guide for good luck. As if that makes any sense. It doesn't. In all honesty, whether we have another grazer or another spirit guide makes absolutely no difference, so assuming we even get to play another game here, as our opponent has disconnected here. This has been wild. By the way, Merry Christmas to everybody. I haven't acknowledged the fact that we are approaching Christmas time on the channel at all. I don't know if I'll be doing any kind of special video for Christmas. I had a few ideas, but in all honesty, I'm probably just going to be spending this time with my family and friends. So I don't know about that, but hopefully wherever you are, you have family and friends to spend time with. And if you don't, here is my heartfelt happy holidays and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to all of you watching at home. I hope that you feel a little comforted by being able to watch my videos. And yeah, thank you guys for watching my content, by the way. So now we're just suspended in this quasi space where the deck lists have been submitted. Our opponent disconnected and ran out of sideboarding time, and now their clock is just running down. All right, guys. Well, it looks like we've completed the league, as our opponent here has disconnected due to timeout. Unfortunately, our opponent never did reconnect here, as we did join the game with our sideboarding changes, but our opponent never connected, and hopefully everything is alright with Dark Zero, and nothing terribly, well, terrible happened to them or anything along those lines. Hopefully they just had to go, and they conceded and disconnected, and everything's alright with them. But yeah, we did end up, I guess you could say, winning the match, and we did get our 50 play points back here. That is, for those of you who do not speak Magic Online, that is half of a league. And yeah, I don't want to leave you guys with just a bit of a game that did not even get played out to its completion. So, as a bit of a courtesy here, I'm going to go ahead and play for you guys one match in the two-player queue here. There is going to be a little bit on the line, but of course, it's not quite the same as it being in a league, but at the very least, you guys should have something to watch here. So let's jump in here and see what we can do. I just don't want to leave you guys with a non-match here for match 5, so at least you'll have something to watch. Alrighty, and we do have an opponent here on the draw, unfortunately, although we do have a hand with a bounce land and an amulet and an explorer and a titan. We have all the things we need, so we'll definitely keep this. As our opponent mulligans to 6. Basic Forest Amulet. Okay, so we're playing somewhat of a mirror here. That's very intriguing, and we have a Karn to go along. All right, let's Cavern Naming Giant, I suppose, so we can get our Amulet out on turn 1 here. We'll have a turn 3 Titan, thanks to our Explorer. Pass it back. Our opponent has a Growth Chamber. Opponent is doing the things. Well, they might have a Titan before we can get a Titan, sadly. We'll do the best that we can, though. I must say, my luck in Amulet Mirrors has not been very good, and I don't know if I can call it luck or lack of skill, but I seem to do very poorly in Amulet Mirrors, and I can't really explain why. We have an Azusa here, that's interesting. Get this other Garenbrig out there, I do suppose. Pass it back. But yeah, my track record in the Amulet Mirror is very low. I frequently lose matches, and I have no clue why. Maybe I'm just not mulliganing properly, I don't know. Maybe we can manage to win this match here. Garenbrig, Bounce Land, perhaps. Transmuting Talari West. Okay, so our opponent doesn't have a Titan this very turn. Valakut. Oh, they transmuted for Valakut. Is that correct? Wow, they actually searched for the Valakut off of the transmuting. That's very interesting to me. Don't know how I feel about that. We'll go ahead and take our damage here. We're going to be able to get a Titan into play, but... Simian Spirit Guide, huh? Well, I mean, we're definitely playing Titan, so there's no question about that. We can play around a Pact of Negation here by using our Cavern, as long as we Spirit Guide out this Azusa. Let's play a Gruul Turf here, so we get to immediately play land after our Azusa resolves, of course. And we'll pick up the Garenbrig, since we can make a land drop progress here. Azusa. Leaving the green floating for activating Garenbrig, of course. We'll play Garenbrig and Growth Chamber. Alrighty. We'll activate Garenbrig. We will pick up the Gruul Turf, I suppose. And here comes a Primeval Titan. With Uncounterable to play around Pact of Negation. Always yield. Yes. And we should go ahead and haste here, as it is free. Alright. Let's go ahead and target the Titan here. And our attack can just get 2 bounce lands so that we can play Karn. I don't know if that will be better than getting a Tolari West and a bounce land to be able to play Dryad this upcoming turn, though. Especially with Azusa, I think that we might be able to kill our opponent with Valakut triggers, perhaps. That is assuming they don't kill our Primeval Titan. And they probably won't be able to kill Dryad during our turn unless they have a fetch land. I suppose we could also do Tolari West and Growth Chamber. Oh wait, no, we don't have a Pact of Negation of our own, so we can't transmute for a Pact of Negation. I think perhaps going for the Tolari West is going to be better than getting Karn to play this exact turn, as our Karn isn't really doing anything anyway, so let's just go for this. And we will... I guess we'll just pick up the Tolari West. Sure. And pass it back. See what our opponent has for us. Hope that we're not dead this turn. Our opponent has immediately passed out of their first main phase, so that's interesting. Not blocking, of course. Don't know why our opponent transmuted for Valakut. That's very strange to me. I guess they must have a Titan here. No? Are they not playing Summoner's Pact? Like, what is going on? They're killing our Azusa with a Valakut trigger. That's fine. Okay, so I think we should have lethal. So that's 4, 5, 6. Transmute, cast Dryad. Yeah, I think everything is good here. Although we don't have enough blue mana because I've stupidly tapped this Growth Chamber. That was unwise of me. Our attack can get second Valakut and another Growth Chamber, and then we'll be able to still do things with Dryad afterwards. So I think we're still fine here. A little bit of a misstep, but that's fine. That's fine. Actually, let's just get Tolari West and a Valakut here. Sure. Alright. Second main phase. We will transmute Tolari West. Get our Summoner's Pact. Pact 4 and cast a Dryad. Play land drop. And send Valakut triggers upstairs. Always yes, always yes, always yield. Gain some life and play Gruul Turf, and that should be lethal. Okay, so we got game 1. I don't know what our opponent was doing with their transmuting over there, but that's okay. And we want Reclamation Sage, we want Force. I'm bringing in Boil again because I'm a glutton for punishment. I don't think Boil is good in this mirror matchup here, but... I mean, how will we know if not but to try Boil? So, We can trim on a couple grazers, although a turn 2 3-drop is pretty good in the mirror. We can trim on the bog. Potentially the Radiant Fountain. I think Simian Spirit Guide might be pretty good in the mirror. Explorer is like alright. Karn's good. Zeus is good. Let's trim one Explorer. Let's trim a Radiant Fountain, I suppose. A Summoner's Pact. Actually, no, I like Summoner's Pact here. Let's trim one Spirit Guide, and maybe just 2 Spirit Guides. I don't know. I like Spirit Guide in this matchup, though. Now, let's just get the Explorers out of here and play all the Spirit Guides. Can't side out the card we're trying to test, right? Right, we're on the draw. We have Boil. We cannot cast it. Unless we put our own Dryad in play. That would be very desperate, but I'm going to keep this because this does have a route to Titan. And I'm more than willing to blow up all of our lands if it means our opponent loses the game to Summoner's Pact trigger. Which, despite the fact that our opponent did not transmute Tolarios for Summoner's Pact the other time, they probably are playing Summoner's Pact, I have to believe, as they play Sakura Tribe Scout on turn 1. Right. Something good. Another Dryad. Not really fantastic, but, you know, we'll make it do. Maybe this hand should have been a mulligan. It feels a little slow. Gruul Turf. Okay. Our opponent doesn't have a 3-drop here on turn 2, which is good for us. Holding off of their Tribe Scout activation. Very interesting. Alright, let's, I suppose we can't dismember our opponent's Tribe Scout if we cast Grazer, but their Tribe Scout lets them cast a Titan this upcoming turn if they have a Garen Brig and an untapped source. So we probably do need to dismember, although I'd much rather hit our opponent's Dryad. I'm going to play around them not having a Titan this upcoming turn and try to set up as best we can and hold the dismember for a Dryad, or even better, boil our opponent with a Dryad out. We'll yield to this. Growth Chamber. Pick up this Garen Brig of ours. Put it back into play. Pass it back. Our opponent activates Scout to put in Valakut. Okay. Perhaps the Valakut thing was a misclick. Here comes a Dryad from our opponent. Yep. Alright, an untapped red source, like the Stomping Ground, or a Spirit Guide would be insane here. Red source. Red source. No, Talari West. That does not do it. That is a Titan, though. We can also play our Dryad and dismember our opponent's Dryad, which seems pretty good. I think that's going to be the line here. Yeah, I think so. Garen Brig entering untapped here, thanks to Dryad, of course. And we'll get a bounce land out of the way here. And yeah. I mean, now we can't boil our opponent, but that might be okay. Let's just go ahead and dismember the Dryad now, I think. Actually, maybe not. Our opponent might be inclined to try to kill us with Valakut triggers. Yeah, this is fine. So if they do play a Titan here, they might just go for like a double Valakut or something, thinking it kills us, and we get to take advantage of it. Explore is fine. Like, play land, triggering their Valakut here. We can let our Dryad take one hit from the Valakut, I suppose. Looks like our opponent has something here. Force of Vigor. Targeting our Dryad, I suppose? Well, where's this Valakut trigger going? Also at the Dryad? Weird. Okay. Let's just dismember our opponent's Dryad here and untap, I suppose. It's gonna be really awkward if we top deck a red source, though. We can play a Garen Brig, transmute for... No, there's nothing we can do to cast Boil this upcoming turn. I don't know. I'm really inclined to try to boil our opponent here. It could be super wrong. We might just die to Titan if we don't kill this Dryad. Although we can always kill the Dryad during our turn anyways. If we draw a Titan, it might just be pretty much over. So let's just let it go. But this allows us to top deck a red source of some sort and boil our opponent before we decide what we're doing with this Dismember. So that seems like it's probably a good plan. Don't care about the damage we're taking here. We'll block the Dryad, I suppose. All right. Simian Spirit Guide or Stomping Ground off the top. Let's go. Now. Come on. Something to let us boil. Please. Another Garenbrig. Okay, so... Well, now... Let's see. We have 5 mana, 6, 7... So we can play Dryad. Oh, man. We're 1 away from playing Dryad, dismembering our own Dryad after floating a red and boiling. Which would be so good. We're 1 mana short. 7. Yeah, we can't do it. Cannot do it. Alright, well, it looks like we're dismembering our opponent's Dryad here, and we might have some additional mana, so let's play our Dryad first. Play Garenbrig, and Garenbrig. Make some black mana here. Dismember their Dryad. They get 1 Valakut trigger here out of fetching, but that's fine, and we will pass back. This is to transmute, not to play. Not that I would want to play Talari West here anyways, but... And this is the weakness of Boil in this matchup. Now we can't ever cast it with our own Dryad in play. Didn't really do anything even when our opponent had a Dryad in play, but, you know, that's okay. Now we have the red source, of course. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can use green, 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 green to activate Garenbrig, but we don't have an untapped source. Actually, no, we have a build our own untapped source here, and I will show you how right now. I don't want to auto-yield to Gruul Turf. We can actually play our Garenbrig this turn, and now we have the ability to transmute Talari West and activate Garenbrig. So we are casting Titan this turn. Getting there slowly. Alright, Titan. Into play it goes. We will yield here, and yes. We want to get a Valakut for sure to go along with our Dryad. It is possible that our opponent has an answer to Dryad, so I don't know if I want to go all in on it, but... I mean, our Primeval Titan can attack and get something else anyways, so... Like, our opponent would have to be able to answer our Primeval Titan and our Dryad to punish us for getting double Valakut here, so... Like, we could get Valakut and Talari West, so if we top deck a bounce land, we have an answer, but I don't think our opponent is going to be able to answer both, so I'm just going to get double Valakut here. Sure. We'll send 1 at the Tribe Scout because we might as well, and save targets the rest upstairs. We'll always yes, always yes, always yield. Alright, and now we get to attack for 2 because of value, and pass it back. And we win the match with our Boil in hand here. Alright, well, I know that wasn't exactly a league match, but hopefully it will be more than enough for your viewing pleasure, and thank you for joining me along this league. Let me know what you think of the deck in the comments below, and if you would make any changes to it. A few concluding details. I personally think that Boil is not a good card in the Amulet sideboard. I don't see the point of Boil very frequently. If you're using it against Dryad decks, it's usually too situational. If your opponent has a Dryad in play, then you're probably already losing, and you'd much rather have a Dismember than a Boil, because sometimes you have your own Dryads in play, and Boil plays very poorly with your own Dryads. Boil is good against the blue decks, sure, but so is Relic of Progenitus, which also has usage against a lot of other strategies. And I've been very impressed with Relic as a way to fight the Uro/Aethergust piles. Boil, not really doing it for me in those matchups. So I would suggest cutting Boil entirely for a couple copies of Relic of Progenitus. That would be my first suggestion. I think that's a pretty easy swap. Although now we're playing like a billion artifacts here. And also, like I have said in the past, I am not a big fan of Ballista. I don't find it to be super impactful, and we're not making Tron levels of absurd mana, like, 14 mana in a turn to cast Ballista for 7. That's not something that we're doing. And I just don't see Ballista being super impactful, even when we can -4 Ballista as a secondary threat if we've already gotten like a Wormcoil or something against a Jund opponent. I'm not really big on Ballista, and I do think that the boat Sky Sovereign is the truth. Sky Sovereign console flagship, the 5 mana 6/5 when it's crewed vehicle artifact that does 3 damage to a creature or planeswalker an opponent controls when it comes into play, and also whenever it attacks. This one's fantastic, as when you play it, it immediately gets value, potentially killing an opponent's Ashiok that they minused a few times, or that you attacked with a Dryad once or twice. Sky Sovereign is also very good with Karn, because you can uptick Karn on the Sky Sovereign to make it into a creature, and when it attacks, it still gets the trigger. I find this one to be much more impressive, in my opinion, than Walking Ballista. The difference between 4 and 5 mana when it comes to killing something like a Devoted Druid or something along those lines is pretty inconsequential, in my opinion. And I just think that Sky Sovereign is better than Ballista, so I would suggest including that one as well. I don't have much of an evaluation on Spirit Guide, only because I feel like I don't have enough experience with the deck list to determine exactly what Spirit Guide does for the deck, and what it takes away from the deck. Obviously, there were several times where we drew Spirit Guides, and they didn't really do anything other than be 3 mana 2/2 creatures. But we didn't really get to see the powerful side of Spirit Guide, and I think that all falls down to natural variance. So before I make a comment on whether or not I like Spirit Guide in this list, I would reserve my judgment until I've played a few more matches with it and got a little bit more experience under my belt. I'd also be interested in looking at some sideboard plans, especially from Mr. or Mrs. Rubino. I didn't know how to sideboard with this deck list going into it, and now I'm very curious to see how you sideboard, especially since you say that you've been having success with the list. So that's something that I'd be interested in. I'm not sure how good the third Explorer is in the deck list. I felt like sometimes we had Explorer when we didn't want it, but there were also times where Explorer was very good. So, I don't know. That one's kind of up in the air. I think 2 Explorers maybe is a fine number, and I suppose you could add, say, a Crumbling Vestige or something along those lines instead of the Explorer. I don't know. This could be another card, though. Maybe a second Azusa, perhaps. I don't know. Being able to Spirit Guide out a 3-drop on turn 1 was something that we were able to consider several times, and has a lot of powerful utility. So the more 3-drops you have, the better able you are to Spirit Guide out a 3-drop on turn 1 or turn 2. So that's something to think about. And yeah, I don't really have much else to say. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and like I said before, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys all have a fantastic holiday, and I will see you guys very shortly for the next league. This is Red Face Menace, signing off.